Hey, welcome to the channel. It's Jack with Stronghold Strength and Conditioning. And today, I've got 3 simple adjustments that you can make to your lunge so you don't end up with knee or back pain afterwards. But before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Thursday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine. And it does not get much better than that. So jump on it. Ready? Let's go ahead and get into this one. All right, like I said, today's video, we're looking at the lunge and how to avoid knee pain with lunges and lower back pain with lunges, all in one. So we have 3 simple adjustments that we're gonna make just in your setup and positioning of the lunge that are gonna make it more stable of a movement overall for you so that you're not relying on those joints that shouldn't be doing the work in the first place. So that is a big part of the problem. It is stability of the core and stability of the limb that is causing these 2 issues at hand. And it only takes these 3 simple fixes to truly eliminate those pains. Ready? Let's go ahead and take a look at them. Adjustment number 1, creating stability of the front leg. So we're gonna build this from the base upward from here. But the very first thing that we need to understand is how to create stability in that front leg position on our lunge. So this is the relationship between our foot, our knee, and our hip, all working together to create that stability. When I place my foot out front for a lunge, I need to have 3 points of contact from that foot. So we're making a tripod base. It's gonna be the first metatarsal behind my big toe, the 5th metatarsal behind my smallest toe, and my heel. That is my tripod. And one of the best ways to start learning a lunge or relearning a lunge is in a split stance. You just start in the stance, you're not doing any movement forward and backwards so that you can work from a set position. Now, the importance with my foot here is that it remains in contact with the floor with those 3 points of contact. A lot of times when we're getting knee pain with lunges on the front leg, it's because the knee alignment is off and we don't have stability coming from our hip here, generating stability. So keeping that tripod, externally rotating the hip so the knee remains in alignment with the middle or smallest toes, that right there is going to create a more stable front leg through something that we call torsion. I have the friction of my foot gripping the floor. I have the external rotation of my hip, rotational force, and between those 2, I'm wringing out a towel through my leg, creating a more stable structure. So when I lunge, I want to maintain that knee alignment of middle toes to smallest toes, and even on the up and down, both directions, keep that steady in alignment. So anytime the knee wants to dip toward the big toe, that's instability in my lunge, and I need to be looking at, is there a good connection from my foot in the front leg? And 2, is there external rotation from my hip controlling the alignment of my knee on that front leg? Adjustment number 2. Okay, now we need to look at the stability of the back leg in our lunge. And the stability of our back leg in the lunge is slightly different than that of the front leg. Normally, if it were a squat or a hinge type movement like a deadlift, those would be pretty similar in tripod foot, external rotation of the hip, and then we have stability. But here we actually have less foot contacting the floor due to the extension of the leg and the extension of the hip here. So what I need to do from this foot is plant the smallest toes. So I'm emphasizing the internal rotation of the hip in this back position when it is in extension. And that is the key when we're lunging with the leg back here. So internal rotation when our leg is in extension behind our body is the more stable rotation torque that we want to use to create a nice solid base. So between the setup that we just learned from the front leg and this internal rotation of the hip planting the smallest toes of the back leg, then I'm going to have my limbs as stable as they can be through torsion in both directions. I use those together, internally rotated here, externally rotated here, to create stability up into my core. And that is the second adjustment. Simple enough, just a small thing, but it'll make a big difference. All right, and last but not least, adjustment number 3. So we've already built up the stability of our limbs, but now we need to tack it on with stability of our core. And the biggest mistake that most people are making in this lunge that's causing them knee and back pain is their core positioning. So as you can see here, if you look at the angle of my pelvis, it is angled down at the floor. I can already feel tension in my lumbar spine here just by having this anterior pelvic tilt set up. So what I need to do is posteriorly tilt the pelvis so that my glutes are engaging. And that is one of the biggest problems in the first place. When I'm in anterior pelvic tilt, my body cannot recruit my gluteals the way that it should be able to in order to stabilize my pelvis, okay? So I tilt, the glutes are engaged, I have external rotation from the front hip, internal rotation from the back hip, and there is my stable lunge positioning. With that tripod foot out front connecting, I'm keeping this neutral pelvis as I lunge. Now, what you might find as soon as you go into that posterior tuck is that that back leg wants to bend at the knee, and that shows us that there's limited flexibility and range of motion in extension of the hip. So we're trying to make up for missing extension by tilting our pelvis a lot of the time. And this is a way you could identify if you're missing that range of motion, because that is then the fix that you need to make. Fix the extension of the hip and access that range of motion so that you can keep your pelvis neutral and let the hip do what it's supposed to do instead of having your low back compensate for that. So that's very important to understand. If you cannot neutralize the pelvis because the hip can't get extension, you're always going to struggle with that. So you might need to work on opening up your hip flexors. And again, hip flexors might be running the full length of that leg to the hip to knee there. And that is a large part of that problem. So open up those hip flexors, get your neutral pelvis, restore your activity from your glutes, and you're going to have a very strong and stable lunge compared to the one that feels wobbly and off balance and all over the place. Now again, start with that split stance and make it very stable in split stance without any movement, and then you can progress to things like reverse lunges from there, and eventually forward lunges when you have better control and understanding of how to create that stable movement overall. All right, and there you have it. 3 simple adjustments that you can make to your lunge today to eliminate knee pain and low back pain when you're doing them. If you like this video, make sure you let me know by clicking that big thumbs up down below, and take a moment to share this one with a friend who isn't quite friends with the lunges that they're always trying to do. So pass it their way, show them some love. If you're somebody who has training aches and injuries or stiffness that you struggle with, and you want to improve your mobility in the next 12 weeks, take a moment to drop by the description down below and click the coaching application link. Fill that out, I will get in contact with you, and we'll go ahead and get you moving in the right direction with your mobility so that you can be moving pain-free in your training with stability, protecting yourself rather than causing further damage in the work that you're doing in the gym. And last but not least, if you have not already, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Thursday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine. Welcome to the Stronghold Army. See you guys next week.